What's up YouTube, this is Jordan Johnson with Project Ventures, and for today's video what we're going to be looking at is what happens if your guest gets into an accident while renting one of your Turo cars. So over the last 6 months I've had 2 of my cars involved in an accident, which was both of my Ford Mustangs. Both cars were resulted in an accident that caused a total loss. So for the purpose of today, what I'm going to be doing is outlining the complete claims process that you'd have to go through with Turo if you ever found yourself in this situation, and hopefully you'll be able to learn something from the process, and I'll be able to give you some tips and tricks along the way. Alright, so before we get into the claims process, I just want to make something really clear, that is, there's no point going through this video if you don't do the first step of every rental, which is a correct check-in process. I can't stress the importance of doing a correct check-in with your cars, so taking the detailed photos, checking the driver's license of the renter, because if you don't do that, Turo won't cover you and you're pretty much going to be voiding your insurance. If you're not sure what to do for a check-in, you can check in my video on the left here. It's the ultimate guide, and it'll go through exactly what you need to do before each check-in on Turo. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive in and see the exact process of a claim with Turo. So looking at the timeline, as you can see, the total claims process goes on for about 2 to 3 months. And boy, what I mean by that is from the time that you have the accident to the time you receive the check in the mail. So what's really important to note here is there's 2 main companies that you're going to be dealing with throughout the claims process, which is DMA Claim Services. So that's the company that does the general handling of the claim. And then you have CCC1, who will be dealing with the appraisal of the claim. So we're going to go down into each of these steps and kind of give you a bit more detail of what to expect along the way. Okay, so the first step in the process is obviously when the accident occurs. So the most important thing that you need to do as soon as you hear about your car getting in an accident is inform Turo about the accident. You need to gather as much information as possible. So you need to try and get as many photos, police records, maybe highway reports, anything that you can to give to Turo so they can start the motions of processing your claim. As soon as you give your information to Turo and let them know about the accident, they're going to be putting you in contact with a car towing agency who's going to tow your car from the accident site. One thing that I had in both occasions is that the tow company wanted to tow the car away from the accident site to my local auto shop. I knew in both instances that the car is going to be a total write-off, so I told them not to tow it there and to take it back to their own yard. The reason I did that is that if you get them to tow it to your auto shop and it's a total loss, your car can be waiting there for about 2 to 3 weeks, and you'll have to pay for the storage fees for your local auto shop. So if in doubt, just ask them to take it back to your tow yard for the immediate future. Finally, any additional valuables or anything you want to take from the car, just make sure you make a note of that. With DMA, you'll be able to talk to them to be able to visit your car, or you'll be able to get them to send anything you may have. So from my experience, it wasn't many things. It was just kind of a gate clicker and my USB cords, small things like that, but obviously stuff I want to avoid purchasing again. So from this picture, this is actually my car. This is my 2017 Ford Mustang. These are the cars that we received, and this is the ones that I sent to Turo Services. For this part of the process, this is what I call the discovery process. So DMA is a claims agent. However, they're not going to provide you a valuation of the car. So pretty much you're going to be dealing with them and working with CCC1. But in this initial process of discovery, the important thing to give DMA services is any additional vehicle specs that you may have. So this is anything that you may have on the vehicle window tag, anything that could increase the value of your car. Any recent service records that you may have, so if you had the tires recently changed, you definitely want to add that and add anything that could potentially add value. DMA Services is also going to ask if there's a lien on the vehicle, because they'll want to know exactly where to send the check. Overall, I had a really good experience with DMA Claim Services. They're very quick to respond, and the agent that I dealt with, Kimberly, is very professional. Okay, so DMA claim services will then outsource the valuation of the car to a company called CCC1. And what they'll do is they'll gather all of the information given by DMA claims and they'll give you a valuation for your car. The one thing to remember, and the most important thing about this, is that the appraisal is a negotiation. The number that they give you is up for negotiation. You can kind of argue with CCC1 to kind of increase your market valuation if you feel it's needed. So definitely don't shy away from that. Out of my two cars, we had quite in-depth negotiation, which actually resulted in increasing the price of the car. CCC1 will give you the actual cash value of your vehicle. So the actual cash value means what is its current market value in terms of dollars of the car at the moment exactly right now. So one thing to remember, that if you just bought a car from a dealer, say for $20,000, and then the next week it crashes, you will not be receiving anywhere near the $20,000 because you've lost money in the value of the car from the sale and also from dealer fees. So that's just something really important to remember. You are not going to receive, like any insurance claim, you're not going to receive exactly what you paid for the car. That's why I always recommend buying your cars from a private seller and always trying to get your car purchased for under market value. All right, so what we're going to do now is dive into a valuation report. Okay, so this is the market valuation report for one of my cars. This is again presented by CCC1. They made it for us, and in this case, they gave a valuation of my car, the 2013 Ford Mustang, $8,665. This was a valuation which we felt was fair, and we accepted the evaluation on the first go. So what I want to do now is just go through the report and kind of show exactly how they value your cars, and maybe some areas which you can kind of negotiate or argue to increase the value of your car. So just kind of jumping into the valuation that CCC1 complete. So the first step is the claim inspection. This is the information which I told you guys before. They look at the mileage, the equipment, any kind of other information which you've already sent to DMA in your claims process. And then they're going to compare this within their database of the US market, looking at values of that. And then finally, they'll search for comparable vehicles in your area who have very similar comps to you, so they can try and determine a value from that. Okay, so then the next step is to look at your vehicle information. So pages 3, 4, and 5 will list all of your vehicle information, including vehicle equipment. Just make sure that you go through each kind of one of these bullet points and make sure that it is correct. This is when it's really important to have the window sticker so you can kind of directly reference what your car has. Maybe it has some extra features on it that weren't listed on here. It's really important to double check everything. I want to give you guys an example which I had for my 2018 Ford Mustang. The transmission was listed as a 5-speed transmission instead of a 6-speed. So this is an error that we corrected, that we found, and it dramatically increased the price of our vehicle. So keep that in mind. You need to check all of your information because this is what they're going to base the value of your car on. Next, they're going to look at your condition. So pretty much everything here should be normal. If it's not, they're going to give you a lot more kind of evidence to why they think that. Obviously, if it's not normal, that's when you're going to be paying or you're going to be receiving a lot less for your quote on the car. Okay, so the next step in the market valuation report is the comparable vehicles section, and this is arguably the most important section of the report. So what this is doing on this report is want to go kind of line by line. Each row represents a vehicle which the agent is using to determine a valuation for your car. For example, for this one, you have the source right here, whereas the dealer is AutoNation Toyota and Western, Fort Lauderdale, and that they're saying their 2013 Ford Mustang with 97,000 miles on the odometer is roughly equivalent to our vehicle that was involved in the accident. The list price for this vehicle is $8,600, and therefore CCC1 is saying the adjustable comparable value of our car, so what the actual cash value of my car is $7,900. The reason it's not the same as the list price is because the reasons mentioned before, with the depreciation of the dealer fees and the depreciation from the sale of the car. So just a couple things to look out for when you're going over your own report if you ever do find yourself in the same situation. The source is really important. So you want to double check that these dealers are actually legitimate car dealers. The reason I say that is for a couple of comps used on my other car, the 2017 Ford Mustang. There was a couple of dealers in there who were kind of bait and switch dealers in Miami. So they were listing their car prices for a lot lower online than they actually were selling for. When I kind of called them up to verify the price, they would say the price is only valid after a certain down payment. So just keep that in mind, that you want to make sure that these dealers are in fact legitimate. Secondly, you want to look at the vehicle. So you want to make sure you're comparing the vehicle. You want to be looking at the listing, which should be online. You're wanting to be looking for any body damage or anything else that would depreciate the value and then effectively put up your adjustable comparable value. Lastly, with this example, we have 5 comps. You're allowed up to 15 comps for the valuation report. Something really important to remember is you're allowed to add your own comps. Don't assume that the agent has included all of the comps in the area. You want to be searching, doing your own research, and looking for cars in the area that you could add as a comp for your vehicle, and that could push up the adjustable comparable value of the car because the price could be higher than the comps that they have listed. Okay, so just a really important section, just to recap, this is where you need to be spending most of your time and focus when looking at these reports. All right, so then the next step is the valuation notes. So this is what I mentioned before. This is when you've given the information to DMA claims. This is anything else that could add to the value of the car. So an example of this I had on my last car. There was 2 things which I added before the incident. One, I purchased a new battery, and then secondly, I had new tires added to the car. Just a note, you will be given again the actual cash value of these products. So for the battery, it cost me about $150. I think I was given about $27. And then the tires, I paid about $700 for them, but I was only given about $120. So they're only going to give you the cash value for these. So don't get your hopes up too much on the payout you'll get for the additional services that you provided. However, obviously every little bit helps, and you want to add that in where you can. All right, so that pretty much sums it up for the report. The last bit of the information here is just looking at the auto checks, Experian checks, just to make sure that everything matches up, but there shouldn't be any issues on here. All right, guys, so this is the final step in the process, so submission of documents. So after you've come to an agreement with CCC1 Claims, you're going to be requested to send the title and release ownership of the car, and also the keys to DMA Claims Services. After that, after they've received your title and keys, they're going to then release the check and send that to your mailing address. All right, guys, that's everything for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video useful, please don't hesitate to hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be posting more videos about Turo in the next coming weeks. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Until next time, thank you.